Hi, and welcome back to In the Gray Area with Revv Health. I'm Britni.
And I'm Travin.
And just 20 years ago, sex drive looked very different than it does today. Today's younger generations are reporting record lows in libido and intimacy. What is going on here? It's not just our hormones, it's stress, it's a toxic load, and it's the pressure to succeed colliding in ways that we've never seen before. Let's break down the hidden triangle that's silently shaping modern day health: sex, stress, and success.
This one is kind of shocking to me, but kind of not, because based on like everything we know and everything we see, it kind of makes sense why we see this. But just like kind of the main thing you were talking about with the whole decline in sex and even interest in sex and that whole thing with like young men, it just is really kind of blows my mind.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, I always go back to like our own personal experiences with
Yeah,
these type
me
of
too.
things. But I'm like, talking to then he was 18, talking about these type of things. I'm like blown away. And it's all of them, like these boys.
Yeah. And it's not like, I'm not saying like they don't want to have sex at all, but it's just like the interest in it or like the priority of it isn't there. And I don't want that to come out the wrong way, but I remember when I was that age, and I'm still that way too, but it's like, it's something that like it drives you and you think about it all the time. And it's always, it seems like it's always been that way for men, right? To pursue women and want that, but it's like, doesn't seem like it's on that level anymore like it used to be for these young kids.
No, jumping around though a little bit is like when we talk about older generations even. So a lot of times we'll see that maybe the guy is chasing the woman for a little while, but then they get comfortable and they're very complacent. And it's very much like now everything's about work and their success and the ambition behind work instead of like even putting that into home life.
Yeah.
And their relationships at home or their marriage and the intimacy that's created there.
Yeah. It still is crazy to me. I mean, it just is like, and again, we're all different, and it's hard for me to relate to that because sex is one of like the better things in life. It's very enjoyable. And it's like, I don't understand how people fall so far from just like losing interest in that and wanting to do that. Especially, with your partner. I'm not saying to go out and just sleep with everyone, but like when you have a partner and someone that you were once connected with and you were like that at one point, but just to like drift farther away from that is,
it doesn't happen sad. Overnight. And
no,
that's
it's a process. Yeah.
Yes. People stop taking care of themselves. So
yeah,
it goes back into like everything we talk about.
Yeah.
If you're taking care of yourself when it comes to exercise, diet, nutrition and hormones, then you hopefully will not even get to that place.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope so, but it happens a lot. And would you say with a lot of women that you work with that recognize that I would say most women will recognize that they don't, or their libido has diminished, but they want it back, right? It's not something that they're just like, oh, well, even though some are like that, but for the most part,
yes.
What do you say?
Yes and no. I feel like some women want it back because they want it back for their husband.
Okay.
Because I feel like they actually get comfortable.
Not necessarily because they want it themselves.
Yeah.
They just want to make their husbands happy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it seems like it, which, that's the first reason, then that's fine. At least that's a start. Because there's plenty of women that
I'm sure the guys would agree.
Yeah. I just think that there's plenty. I've had a couple women that were like, I don't want it. Like we have separate bedrooms.
I remember you saying
like,
that.
And it's like, wow, like to me, it's sad, but whatever they've figured out is working for them, but it's not healthy either.
Yeah, it's sad to me too. But again, like I said, we're all different. It's just, that's something that's very, very hard for me to comprehend, like to get my head around, like getting to that point, and it's like you said, I think, it's very important about taking care of yourself. And it's not, you want to take care of yourself for you, like first of all, but also like your partner, you should want to take care of yourself for them, right? So that they stay attracted to you and they still feel that way about you. And not saying that looks are everything, but it's a component of it.
Sure. But we do sometimes see where couples, it's not always the man, it could be the woman, but one of them is taking care of themselves and the other one isn't.
Yeah.
And that's got to be hard.
Yeah. It's libido is, it's so multifaceted too, right? Like it's one of those hard things to kind of nail down because it's one of the, like I said, it's a very common complaint for both men and women that they have like a diminished libido. And we want the hormones to always fix that, but it doesn't always fix that. We always say if your libido is suffering because of the hormonal deficiency, then correcting that deficiency will correct the libido. But it's not always just, there's so much more that goes into it than besides hormones, like a lot of what you're talking about. And so that's kind of why if, we get someone's hormones optimized and they're still, their libido isn't where they want it to be, it's like, okay, well, what else is at play here? Because it's not just your hormones.
Yeah, that just made me think of something, a lot of times when that does come up, and I'm talking about people that, are in their 30s and 40s, they're on some sort of like antidepressant or something. Yeah. And that plays a huge part. But when we really look at it, like no wonder our younger generation is really struggling, because that's one of the first things that any doctor is doing when they come in at, the ages of like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, is they're putting them on birth control and antidepressants.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I remember we did a consult with a young kid, like 18 or something a while back. And came to us, he wanted to do blood work. He wanted to get like some supplements to help because he was having a lot of like ED issues at 18 years old. And so we were trying to work with him, and the first thing he says is he's on like ADHD medication. He's on Adderall. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, like that in and of itself is going to cause erectile dysfunction issues. Like, did your doctor talk to you about this? And he's like, no. And it's like, see, like that, you're right. Like they can get put on medications that just like compound this problem even further.
And then it takes time even getting off of them. Mm-hmm. Like they have to slowly get off, and then it's like recovering from the damage that it's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah, for sure.
There's also, we know, like nowadays we hear of screen time all the time. Mm-hmm. And I know that's even conversation that like us moms are having like on the soccer field, and it's hard because it is one of those things that, again, is a quick fix sometimes as a parent. Just like if you're busy and you're in the middle of like 5 things, like letting them have that screen time, whether it's a phone, it's an iPad, it's video games, and they're just like getting so sucked in at a young age, and people don't really realize what it does like on a dopamine level. Yeah. At such a young age. And then that's another factor. Like we're wondering why these little boys don't have any testosterone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're right. Like I've been bad. I've been guilty of that myself with the whole like screen time, keep them occupied. And it's not the right answer, but yeah, the dopamine thing, that's a great point because when you say that, it reminds me of like when people get addicted to like pornography. And it's kind of like the same concept to where there's when the kids are playing video games, like there's such a dopamine, like instant dopamine release from doing that. And it's, in the past, dopamine rewards effort, right? And it's like when you accomplish something good or productive, or you work hard for something, you get this like dopamine release and it feels good. But now it's like you can get that same release from playing these video games. And so, going back to like the lack of interest in sex and like pursuing women. And it's almost like, well, in the past, like, that is a dopamine rush, and that's a high, like, pursuing girls and like all that stuff. And it's like, that's not even maybe needed because they're getting it in like these video games and, to fulfill, the sexual part of things, like, and they're just watching porn. And it's like,
well, not only that, but like even dating websites, like,
well, it makes you making it like easy.
Yeah. And all they have to do is like keep swiping.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, there's all these options and they don't necessarily.
No one has to work for anything. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Were you going to say something about reading something recently?
I was, God, maybe, I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but,
about porn or something.
Well, it just, I was actually, there was, and this was like a few years ago, but it was, they polled a bunch of like guys in, I don't know, like age like 22 to 28 or something like that, young men. And like a shockingly high amount of them said that they would rather just watch porn instead of try to actually go like pursue women and have sex that way because it's easier.
What was that one story when we were at the boat races that one time we were talking to somebody?
Yeah.
He basically said something.
Basically said that same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because what do they say? Something about like
once a month with
having
his wife.
sex with his wife once a month, and then he just watches porn the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And
because it's easier. And it's just like, oh my God. Like,
it's mind blowing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. We talk about all the things, but like even like plastics and pesticides and all that kind of stuff plays a huge role in this. And then we have the video games, we've got the pornography, there's like all of this stuff that's just working against us in all different areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, we talk about that all the time, and some of those things you just can't get away from. Some of the things you can't prevent. And so it goes back to, we always say, like, you just do your best to try to eliminate all that stuff from your life, and then try to do as many of the right things as you can to just overcome any of those, cellular issues that are going on.
Yeah, I know. with like my younger son, we're getting ready to do the liver detox again, which is a pretty cool thing. And it's very mild and helpful. So, I mean, I would encourage everybody to do those, not only for themselves, but even with their children.
Yeah. Because you think he has a really hard time detoxing.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I know that I did, and I do. And I can only imagine now, especially with everything, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a really good thing for him. But I would encourage everybody to do something like that. And maybe even more than once a year.
Yeah. That's what I love so much about like the glutathione injections and NAC that we take every day. I mean, I just the glutathione, I mean, I feel like my body functions better and like my detox pathways are opened up and my liver is more healthy. And it's like, that's one of those things that is kind of like a staple in my routine.
One thing that I just started adding in again was Pregnenolone. And I want to say it's probably been like 3 weeks now. And finally, I can tell a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because I was starting to, it was kind of starting to scare me because I was like forgetful, not remembering anything. And then I was repeating myself all the time. My kids are like, Mom, you told me that twice. And I was afraid I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
But just adding that in, it took a little bit, a couple weeks, but now noticeably I'm seeing a huge difference.
I know. I don't know why you stopped that in the first place. Like I've been taking it for years and then you were taking it and you just decided, oh, you don't want to take it anymore.
No, it was because I wasn't educated behind I mean, I know the benefits. I just, with my adrenal hyperplasia, I was afraid that taking that with it being like the mother hormone, which is silly, but I learned and I'm so glad that I'm taking it again because it's very, very helpful.
For sure. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm sleeping better now. So yeah. It's really good.
Sure.
Yeah. Going back to talking about like, you know, lack of desire for like intimacy and sex and stuff. I mean, that's a vital sign that something is going on that you really, really need to be looking into.
Yeah. It's interesting because that a lot of times, like I know for guys too, like not only just like lack of interest in sex, but the whole like erectile dysfunction issues that will, you know, kind of start to happen for some men. And it's not what I see a lot of times is it's not, guys won't completely just all of a sudden develop like erectile dysfunction, but they'll notice like diminished quality in their erections, like not maybe like as strong or as firm as like they used to be. And it's like once like that drives a lot of guys to come like start seeking out answers because it's like, okay, what's going on? Like that seems to be the thing that like moves like guys to take action to want to do something. And so like, yeah, that's one of the signs that something like might be potentially wrong with your hormones or your lab work or like, you know, let's take a look. But again, like we talked about, there can be so many other factors that go into that. But the first step is like, okay, let's see if your hormones are deficient and let's get those fixed. And at least then we can check that box. And, you know, if it fixes it, then great. But if not, then you can at least know that that's taken care of. And like, let's figure out what else is going on in your life to cause that.
Yeah, I think it's really important though, because I think it can be very embarrassing for a lot of guys. Like, I think they need to know it's really, really common.
It's so common. And it's like, I think that, yeah, like most guys should know. I mean, I see this all the time, but it is very common, you know, mid 30s, late 30s, early 40s, like guys are starting to deal with these issues. And I see it all the time. And it's like, wouldn't you rather just fix it and then not have to deal with it rather than just like letting your ego prevent you from just trying to like figure out a solution?
I know. I think it's really sad. Obviously, I'm not a man, so I don't really get it. But I feel like I'd be looking for a solution as soon as like those signs and symptoms come up.
Yep, exactly.
A lot of times it's crazy to me that we'll like be dealing with a husband and a wife and they both have completely different stories about their sex life. Like one of them will be like, oh my gosh, this is a major issue. And the other one's like, oh, it's not really that. Like it's okay.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to say, usually it seems like it's the woman that says it's an issue and the guy that says it's not. But then again, I guess we've seen it both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just amazing to me that like two people in a relationship will get in different stories. And I'll have like, I know a few stories of women being like, okay, and checking in with us after their consult. How'd it go? Like whatnot. Yeah. It's like, okay, you two need to talk about this. You guys need to figure out what works for you guys and have those it's a hard conversation sometimes, but you need to let your partner know if if you're struggling in that area.
Yeah. Communication's big. There's been a couple women that have been pissed. I remember been extremely upset about the lack of transparency that their husbands had during the, their appointment or their consultation or just even flat out not telling the truth. about certain things. And it is, you're right. I think it is definitely like from a place of embarrassment, or guys think it's like an ego thing if they're dealing with like erectile dysfunction, and a lot of them will want to say that they're not, even though, like you said, like, why wouldn't you just want to get that fixed and not deal with that? I mean, to me, it's more of a, like my ego would be more hurt like having that issue rather than just like confronting it and then fixing it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you completely. Going back to like originally talking about like the stresses of day-to-day life, and like you don't get there overnight, making it a priority and doing all the things in order to have that intimacy between you and your partner is really, really important. And, a lot of times it slowly creeps up. Like you're dating each other, you get married, then you start having kids. So that's a lot of stress. And then comes all the pressure, especially for a man, to like provide and have this household and stuff like that. So I would really encourage like men especially to make the time for themselves. Make the time to go to the gym. Make the time to like, keep healthy hobbies or any sort of like outlet that's going to help with that, because that's going to make that time with your family or with your spouse much more intimate and meaningful. And I think that a lot of times we focus, even like as a female, like on, especially if you're staying at home, like, me, like, what am I not getting and stuff? But really at the end of the day, it is two partners in this relationship, and making sure that you both are just taking the time that you need to decompress.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned stress, because that's probably one of the biggest killers of like libido or sexual desire, or anything like that. If you're constantly like stressed out and everything, I mean, that's going to be a huge impact. That just made me think of something that happened, the other day. I think you had a patient you were working with that was saying that like all of a sudden her hormones weren't working anymore, and she was feeling off and wasn't feeling right. And you were like, you did some more digging and then found out she's like going through a divorce.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so you're going through one of the most like stressful things someone can go through.
Yeah.
But you're expecting to not feel any of the stress because you're on hormones or whatever. And it's just like a perfect example of.
It's a good example, but it's sad and it's a delicate situation, because I know that they're going through a hard time. So you kind of have to tiptoe a little bit and bring it up, but also be compassionate.
It's just an example of that we can optimize our hormones and do everything right, but life still happens, and we still will go through things that are going to make us feel off or stressed or fatigued or tired or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely just really important to like stay in check with yourself, but also in a relationship with each other, energy, mood, all that kind of stuff. Like you really should have like a goal in mind together as a couple and work towards the same thing.
Sure. Yeah.
We talk about like one being optimal and the other one not, one taking care of themselves, one of them not. It's just, I think that's one of the most important things in the relationship before even sex is communication, and making sure that you guys are aware of how the other one feels. And then everything else, I'm not going to say it falls into place, but it's very helpful. And we see all different situations with couples.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, they lose that where they aren't intimate for years.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah, that's sad. And then that's also like, I always think in my head, like, where do you go from there? Or how do you, I mean, that must be just, awkward for one, but hard to get back to a place of like, if you've literally gone years without being intimate, and then it's like, how do you get back on course of like, how do you like that? That's a big like first step. And like, that would be,
well, we do have our cute little older couple though that popped in, and they weren't even sleeping in the same room. And they were super excited as they're like traveling around the US to stop in and tell us how amazing they're feeling and how they're sleeping together again.
Yeah.
And
that is incredible.
It is really incredible.
Yeah. They were both like just super smiley, like giddy talking about it. That was cute. Yeah.
It is cute. I think that where we are right now in life, like there's just so many things that we are dealing with day to day. I think it's so important that if you're feeling any of these issues whatsoever, that you try to address it first, like as soon as possible. Whether that is getting your blood work done, doing some detox, taking time to just like relax, decompress, that kind of stuff is really, really important.
Yeah, that's all great advice. Yeah, just like with anything. I mean, the longer you wait, typically the harder it is to correct something.
I'd be curious, like if we even asked different people what the difference is like now versus 10 and 20 years ago, like their libido levels, if they really stopped and think about it, like I bet you it's dramatically different and they don't even realize because it just slowly creeps up out of nowhere.
Yeah, just like with a lot of things. Even, you know, it reminds me of like guys getting morning erections, right? And that's something that we see a lot, that when we bring up to guys, and it's like a light bulb goes off and they're like, oh wait, like I haven't even really thought about that in years, let alone like gotten them consistently. But when you dive in, it's like they're maybe getting none or 1 or 2 a week. And then it's like, that's something that comes back, and it's like, they'll say that all the time in their follow-ups, like, oh, I'm getting morning erections every day now.
Yeah. And then we've got the younger generation that have never had that. And it's sad because they literally have probably half the amount of testosterone that their parents had at their age. It's really sad.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, like always, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Please like, comment, and share. Also subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.